So when I tell you that this video right here is going to either confirm or change your opinion on the Tyson and Jake Paul fight, I cannot stress enough that that is the case, because this is absolutely damning. If you are trying to convince me that this was a 100% legit fight, everybody's trying to knock each other out, dude. Okay. I'm not saying Tyson threw the fight necessarily. I'm not saying anything actually. What I'm saying is that you watch this video and you tell me what you think of this, dude. And what's hilarious about this is after every Jake Paul fight up until this one, I have always told my audience at some point, the easiest 100,000 view video you could possibly do is title it, "Was this Jake Paul fight rigged?" And then I every single time end up disproving it. It's like, it's literally the easiest thing ever. It will always get clicked on. Everyone always calls his fights rigged, and none of them have been rigged. Except for maybe this one, okay? Because this is like, someone sent this to me and I almost didn't even click on it because I was like, I'm tired of looking at this, dude. I am honestly tired of looking at this. And then I did, and I was like, oh my God. Now, should people immediately be skeptical right now since I said Tyson's gonna win by first round knockout every single place that you can possibly say that? Yeah, you should. You should go into this like, oh my God, Jesse's coping. That should be your mindset going into watching this video. And then afterwards, you tell me what you think after you watch it. Now, we're also going to talk about this because this is the biggest story in actual combat sports, which is Jon Jones saying that he wants to vacate the belt and go down and fight Alex Pereira for his final fight, because everyone's saying he's ducking Tom Aspinall, but he's more interested. He's like, I'm more interested in the Alex Pereira fight. But when I found out he wants to do it at 205, that's a completely different ballgame. So we're going to talk about that extensively. There's also a bunch of other stuff going on that we're going to go over later in the video, but I promise I am not going to make you wait a long time. We are going to look at this Mike Tyson video literally right now. Also, after that video, we're going to look at what Joe Rogan said about this fight, because he also had some questions about the validity of the fight, apparently. All right, here we go. Get ready to watch this 10 times and get the same conclusion every single time. Ready? Let's go.
Paul has set himself up to be another one of the 42 people that have been knocked out with that overhand right. He has his head out, his jab arm down, and he's wide open, and Tyson goes to throw it and short arms it. Watch. Jake Paul even anticipates the hit.
Yep.
Whew. I mean,
now, does he miss that, Bubba, at 58?
No. If you miss it, you hit the guy. You just don't.
Yeah. So let me show you something else real quick, right? So what was my hypothesis on this thing? Right after the fight, I said, this is an exhibition, guys. That's what this was. This was an exhibition where you weren't allowed to knock the other guy out. Now, let me show you something else that is very important to note now after seeing that Mike clearly recognized he was about to blitzkrieg Jake and pulled the punch. Not just pulled the punch. He straight up missed it on purpose. Like, there's no question. There's no question. No one is going to convince me that he did not do that on purpose. Now, watch this also. Now, Rogan weighs in on this also, but there are other clips to look at now, because now that we've established that one, now let's look at some other stuff, right? And hear what Rogan thinks.
How fake this fight is. Tyson could have ended it with a knockout here, but instead he chose to just run around and do nothing.
Actually take it.
I don't know if he could have ended it right there. I don't know if he could. The only one I've seen that was definitive, like that literally caused me to do this video, was that TikTok one, right? But listen, this is what Rogan says about the entire thing, which is exactly where my brain is at.
Chance at Mike Tyson not being able to do what he used to do, because that's what he's doing. The gamble is like, there's not a chance in hell that Jake Paul would survive against the Mike Tyson that beat Marvis Frazier. You ever watch that fight?
Well, if you haven't, you're going to right now, and this is one of the most absolutely vicious knockouts in the history of boxing. It's only about a minute long. You're welcome.
Where he does not score, scoring on the round system, supplemental 4-point scoring system if the rounds wind up even, and the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Tyson comes out slugging.
He comes out smoking like Marvis's father, Joe. Marvis must move or we're going to be out of here very, very quickly.
Good night.
Uppercut, and Marvis is hurt.
Frazier is down. Joe Cortez moves in to have a look.
Yeah. So that's the fight that Joe Rogan's referencing.
Yeah. Joe Rogan has sparked significant debate after he reportedly shared his skepticism regarding the authenticity of the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. Rogan dissected the events of the fight, suggesting that elements of the match appeared orchestrated. While he stopped short of outright accusing the event's organizers of scripting the fight, his observations have reignited discussions about the legitimacy of such high-profile matches.
The fight was scripted. Everyone is talking about this on X, and the script was actually leaked on X a few days ago. Now this script has went viral. Let's see how accurate it was. The opening bell rings, Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, which actually happened. As soon as the bell went, Mike Tyson came out with that head movement pushing forward. Immediately he stalks forward with his signature bob and weave style.
Rogan noted peculiar patterns in the fight, such as the measured pace and lack of high-impact exchanges one might expect from a bout featuring Tyson, even at 58. He allegedly remarked that it felt like watching a choreographed dance at times.
Yeah. I'm going to say right now, real quick, and then we'll come back to this. I personally was in I was in Miami, and I was watching it in a bar with all my friends. Listen, I mean, like, there's no reason for me to need to get witnesses on this, but I was screaming, what the fuck is he doing? And I've never felt more like I was being gaslit in my entire life than watching that fight. Like, the whole time I just felt completely gaslit. I'm like, what is happening? I watched him train. Okay. It's one thing when he's tired towards the end. I'm not saying he's pretending to be tired, but early in the fight, I'm like, I've seen him training. I know how he can move. He's not doing any of those things. Now, I certainly did not catch, the fact that he straight up threw a right hand, and as soon as he recognized he was about to hit Jake absolutely unadulterated straight in the face. Unadulterated? Unabated? I don't know, whatever. English is not my first language. He completely misses it on purpose. Had I seen that, that would have been, a much more obvious indicator. But you had to slow it down to see how egregious it actually was. But the whole time, I'm like, this is not real, man. This is not real. Everybody was saying it. I got texted by 1,000 people saying this is not real. But let's continue.
Tyson was clearly holding back, and Jake Paul, for all his bravado, didn't capitalize when he had opportunities. As per Rogan, it just didn't feel organic. The podcaster also pointed out moments where Tyson appeared to ease up, especially when Paul seemed vulnerable. Rogan said that Mike had openings, and we've seen him capitalize on smaller windows in his prime. But Rogan believes that this wasn't the Mike we know. It was almost like he was pulling his punches.
Different thing, man. It's a different thing with that guy.
Well, it's like Matt always says, play to your strengths.
Yeah,
no
but
doubt.
you got to take that payday. I mean, what did he make out of that fight? He probably made $10 million or something.
Yeah,
and Jake Paul's very smart, man. Like he gets guys that he's bigger
than,
the only time he fought another boxer his size was Tom Fury, and he lost.
And what did I say from the beginning? I'm like, Mike Tyson's a heavyweight, dude. If you look at him on the bag, look at him sparring, look at him, hitting pads, like, there's no way that Jake makes it out of 2 rounds with that. It's not possible. It cannot happen. Is where my brain was at, okay? But again, I'm not saying it was rigged. I'm not saying it was scripted. I'm saying it was an exhibition, okay? That's my opinion, is they weren't allowed to knock each other out. And then you get late into the fight and Mike is exhausted, and so Jake won. So it's not rigged. They picked a winner. They just weren't allowed to try to knock each other out. That is my hypothesis, okay? Like, there is a winner and there's a loser because someone's going to land more punches, but you're not allowed to knock each other out. Okay, well, if someone would have been like, hey, guys, okay, Tyson is not allowed to try to knock Jake out, I probably would have picked Jake. Be like, okay, well, if you take knockout off the table, then yeah, then yes, I will take Jake in that,
Tom Fury?
Good fight.
Tommy Fury.
Very good fight. Very good fight. I think he's like any other young up-and-coming boxer. It's just everybody dismisses him because he's a YouTuber.
Rogan's theory...
And again, I think Jake is a genius. I've said this 1,000,000 times. I'm not hating on Jake, okay? I am not hating on Jake. However, you guys gaslit me, and you guys got me to predict Mike Tyson on every single one of my platforms full throttle based on an outcome that may or may not have even been possible to happen, in my opinion, just with the eyeball test. Seems to have not been possible. Hang tight, because we're going to talk about Jon Jones' insane demands that he's making of the UFC right after a word from this sponsor. Now, if I told you that you could make $50 for free if you take 90 seconds of your time to do something, it's something that you would do, especially if the 90 seconds is going to be something fun. Because that's exactly what Prize Picks and I are offering you right now. I want to be very clear. There is no gimmick here. There's no chance where this does not lead to $50 free for you. There's nothing you have to pick right. There's no game you have to win. If you play a $5 roster on Prize Picks, you will get $50 into your account whether you win or lose the roster that you entered. How much you can win in addition to the automatic $50 depends on the size of the roster that you pick, but I'll let you play around with that a little bit. Now, you also could try to win real big and play more than $5, but you don't have to. Take a look over here. Look at what I stand to win if I hit this roster. Hold me accountable to this. I'm putting it on my channel. I'm putting my face on it. Hold me accountable, and also hold me accountable to this. This game is super fun. You're going to want to play. As you can see on the left side of the screen, all you do is go through the athletes that you want to pick in a specific sport. In this case, we're doing UFC because my girl Rose Namajunas is fighting on Saturday. In addition to MMA, they have college basketball, college football, NBA, NFL, any sport you could think of, you can play on Prize Picks. Now, in the roster you see over here, this is obviously a UFC roster. I'm playing a $5 game, which means if this was my first game, I would see a free $50 put into my account the second that the game starts. So come join me for Prize Picks. It's an amazing game. You'll be supporting my channel and you'll be getting free money. Also, look at my roster, take a screenshot, and then you can see how I did. And also, I want to know who you guys are picking. Send me your rosters if you want. Link is in the description. Use promo code JesseOnFire for the $50 bonus. And that is what it is. All right, let's move over to this Jon Jones conversation. I want to hear these guys talk about it first, and then I'm going to comment on their comments because I don't agree with everybody. I actually think the better fight for Jon Jones, if it's really going to be his last one, if it's actually going to be his last one, give me that Pereira fight. Pereira's cleared out the division, dude. Alex Pereira's cleared out the division. If it's really, really, actually going to be his last fight, I would love if that fight happens. I still will tell you right now, I don't think it's going to happen. However, because he's going down to 205 to do it, I always thought that he was saying Pereira could come up to heavyweight for the fight. I don't know if everybody else misunderstood that. I thought he was saying Pereira can come up to heavyweight. That's not what he's saying. He's going to go down to 205. That's a completely different universe from from the other way around. Okay, let's watch.
To react to Jon Jones wanting to fight Alex Pereira and not Tom Aspinall. On the Believe You Me podcast, Bisping compares Jon to Jake Paul, fighting guys who he knows he can beat.
I don't know. The fact that he's willing to potentially go back down to 205 to face Alex versus instead of staying with his belt and facing Tom, it starts to make me think he's dodging him. And listen,
what?
Jon Jones kicked my up and down all over this house, but Don, that's the fight, bro. If you're the best ever, if you are the GOAT, why can't you go beat this young kid?
What are you talking about? Listen, either fight is amazing. Either fight's amazing. Pereira has cleared out that division and just blitzkrieged everyone. He cleared out 80. Well, he won at 85. He goes up to 205. Has blitzed everybody at 205. There's basically no one for him to fight at 205. And Jon Jones vacated the belt at 205. The belt, Jon Jones's belt is the light heavyweight championship. Okay, that's his championship. He held that belt for how many years? A decade? 12 years, maybe. That's his belt. And there's someone else who is a definitive 205 champion now. Tom Aspinall just won. Listen, don't get me wrong, dude. I think Tom Aspinall is an absolute monster and might even have a better chance of beating Jon Jones than Alex Pereira, maybe. But if you're talking now I completely understand what Jon Jones is saying. He's saying it's a legacy fight. Okay? It's a legacy fight. He's been gone from 205 long enough that they have an established blitzkrieg nightmare matchup down there that has cleared out the division. He's destroyed everyone. Now, again, this is why I think that Dana's not going to do that fight. I think they won't do it. But I knew they wouldn't do it if he was asking for Pereira to come up to heavyweight. That was my point. I'm like, they'll never make that fight. Because that, in my opinion, is, you're switching weight classes. But if this is Jon's last fight, absolutely last fight, either way, again, I still think it's unlikely that they'll make it because of, what I've been saying every single time, which is Alex Pereira is an established star that can drive numbers. Maybe the biggest number driver that we have now, right? So it's unlikely that they're going to put him in a situation where he could lose to a guy who's going to walk off anyway. That's all downside for the UFC. However, in terms of legacy for the sport, there is no bigger legacy fight than that. It is without a doubt a bigger legacy fight for Jon Jones for him to go and fight against Pereira at 205. And no one's going to convince me otherwise. Now, which would I be more excited to watch? Like as a fan, I don't care. Give me either of them, dude. Give me either fight. Give me either fight. But Jon going down to 205 to fight against Alex Pereira and people being like, wow, that's a pussy ass move. What are you talking about? That's a pussy move? To go fight Pereira at 205? Now, I realize people think like, oh, he's just going to take him down and strangle him. He can beat him. We still don't know that. No one has tested Pereira's grappling. Has he had some favorable matchups? Sure. Should he fight Ankalaev first? Yes. If he beats Ankalaev, then what? I know people are going to break my balls. He didn't clear out the division. I'm just saying, like, Ankalaev, yes, would be the first guy who has good. I think Pereira's going to beat Ankalaev easily, though, to be honest with you. I think Pereira is going to easily. I think he's going to, I think his striking is so much better than Ankalaev's. It's not going to be a problem. I think Roundtree has better striking than Ankalaev. And I don't think Ankalaev's grappling is that good enough to overcome how good Pereira is at staying on his feet. Not to mention, we still don't even know what his ground game looks like, right? Ankalaev is a good prototype to beat him. I still pick Pereira. Do I think Tom Aspinall has a much better chance of beating Jon Jones than Pereira? Yes. Do I think this is like a once-in-a-lifetime legacy fight that we might actually get? Pereira, but Jon Jones and Jon Jones walking off, has Jon Jones earned the right to choose between Tom Aspinall and Alex Pereira? Yes, I think he has. Absolutely. Okay? That's what I got on that. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.